welcome back to another video on the channel. Today we're back on GT Sport and we're back with a track guide for the daily race C, although it should be called the weekly race C really now, at the Nurburgring GP track, driving the Group 4 cars. So for this track guide I'm obviously using the Evolution because you want your qualifying lap to be as high up there as possible. I think you can also use the Mazda. It's pretty much identical in terms of its lap time. I don't think there's hardly any difference pretty much between these two cars for the lap time ability at this track now. You could also use the Nissan GTR, although I don't think it's going to be, it might be a tenth or two slower, but if you want to use that, if you prefer that car, you might want to try it out, as it's going to be competitive here. It's four-wheel drive, it's got the traction. Also, the Megane has potential to do okay lap time before the BOP change. Now that car has had another 2% weight, I don't think that car is going to be good enough for the qualifying process of this track. It'll be interesting to see how that car fares in the race though, because obviously for race conditions the Megane was still the car to pick at this track, but whether that's changed now with the new BOP that has been brought in, it's really going to be interesting. I haven't driven this race yet, but the car to use is, if you're going to race this race, is the Megane in the race, qualifying this, and then the Megane in the race, and don't pit. You need to save that fuel and don't pit. That's how it was yesterday. Now it could have changed. They could have changed the fuel rates with this update. I don't really know. They've definitely obviously BOP'd a lot of cars with this update, so it's really interesting to see what cars are going to be used. The Citroen could be a good choice for this track along with the NSX. I know they've had BOP changes, but they could still be good cars to use at this track for a no-stop strategy. Anyway, let's start this track guide pointing out all the break points that you need to know and some racing lines to try and help you get the high up that qualifying grid as possible. So going through turn 1, take a wide line in, get on the power nice and early. The strength of these four-wheel drive cars is you can slam on that power and really come out of the corners. You just need to widen your lines into these corners though, because it understeers quite a bit. So going into turn 1, we're looking to brake just before the 100 board. I'm going to slow it down as we approach there. So just as that tarmac on the left, I pretty much use that as my brake reference to when to hit on the brake pedal. You can see slamming on the brake pedal pretty much as that tarmac appears, down in second gear, and you want to stay to the left hand side as far as possible before turning in, because you want a wide angle into this apex. Clipping that apex reasonably well, a little bit wide of it, could have been a little bit tighter on it, and then on the power really early and really swing the car over to the right hand side, because you need to get a wide entry point into the next corner. It's so important with these four-wheel drive cars to really widen your lines and points of entry. You're going to see a little lift off the throttle at this point now, just to help the front end bite a bit, because otherwise the car's just going to understeer wide. And then try and clip that apex. I really did hook that up nicely there, clipping the apex perfectly on the power maximum and not running too far wide either, keeping it within the track limits, a little bit wide but nothing too bad. And then you want to brake as the change of colour on the Astra on the right. You want to brake a little bit before that, you see, quite early. It's best to brake early so that you can slow the car down and get this left hand tyre over the curb there, and you'll see your right hand tyres really need to run that white line. And too far over, you're going to get a corner cut, but if you do it right, you can pretty much use that. It'll guide you through the corner so nice. And then you see a little bit of a hesitation before I turned in there, because I felt like I was going to cut the corner, and it's a good job I didn't do that, as I really attacked this corner. Try and take as much of that off as you can get away with, and then over this left hand side, you'll find if you do that wide there, as long as you don't do it too far back, you won't get a penalty. But if you run wide quite early on, you're going to get a penalty there, but for that I didn't get any risk of penalty. Now your braking reference for this point is that bit of tarmac that ends there as it goes off towards the sprint track, and then down into third gear you want to stay very tight to this apex and swing it over to the left hand side as soon as possible. You're going to see a little lift off the throttle in a minute and braking, because I want to get the car over to that left hand side to swing it back into this right hand corner, and it's really important to be very close to the apex on this right hand corner, so that you can get on the power as early as possible. You're going to see now down second gear, holding it on the apex before putting the power down. Then once I feel the grips there, I can really get on that power. I had to give it a brief little lift through the corner. You'll see there a little lift, maybe lost a bit of momentum down the straight, but nothing massive, just maybe half a tenth or so lost. And then going into the next braking zone, you're braking just after that tarmac starts on the left hand side there. And I like to brake a little bit early because I like to keep it very tight to this apex. Some people like to run wide on this apex. I like to keep it as close to this apex as possible on the curb, and then just feed the power in very early, because the closer you keep it here, you look how early I can then put the power on. I'm starting to put the power on already. I'm not going to put maximum power on straight away. I'm going to feed gradual power in, and then once I feel the grips there, hard on that power and straight out this corner with maximum throttle. So that's how I like to take that corner. You can take it wider, but I feel it loses time. Now through this corner, you want to be pretty much aggressive as you can, but smooth. it's important to be smooth because you don't want to scrub speed up. So as little tyre scrubbing noise as possible through that corner, just to make sure you carry as much speed. Then into the next braking zone, you're braking just before the 100 board on the right hand side. A little bit before. I like to brake it early again because I'm going to go down into third gear and I'm going to get this left hand tyre and over the green Astra on the left hand. Also, you want to make sure your right hand tyre is as far wide on that green part as possible because you want to widen the line, and this is where you want to get the left hand tyre on that green Astra turf on the left hand side there and clip it. And I was a little bit too aggressive and had to give it a little lift off the throttle. I would have liked to have accelerated all the way through that corner, lost maybe a tenth or so there, but nothing massive. Now swinging it back over to the left hand side to try and get the line into this right hand corner. It's so important again to a little tap of the brake. You'll see I just put the smallest amount of brake pressure in there and then off the brakes, and then just feed in a tiny bit of brake pressure in just to keep the car lined up into the apex of the corner. And this enables me then to get on the power as early as possible going down this straight. So into the next braking point. This is one of the most important braking points on the track. You need to get this perfect. You need to brake just before the 100 so that you can really attack this chicane. So braking just before the 100 there, you see fraction, that's where I aim to brake. When you actually get on the brakes, it's closer to the actual 100, but you always want to aim to brake a little bit shorter, obviously the reaction time. So now for this corner, you need to attack both parts of the apex of the curbs and straight line as much as possible and try and follow that line that I created there. You'll see too far over the right side, you're going to get a cut, but if you do it right, you can carry a lot of speed and get away with no penalty. Now for the final corner, I made a little error. You're going to look for that little bit of tarmac, the tyre markings on the curb. I brake just before that. You see I'm going to start braking now, and I downshifted too early into second gear here. This created the car to understeer and I couldn't bite it into the apex, so I lost out about a tenth on this last corner, which was a bit frustrating because it would have probably put me down to a 0.4, but it wasn't a bad lap at the end of the day. And then on the power as early as possible, accelerate all the way over the line, and we go over the line on 2 minutes 3.5. Now there was potential to get that down to a 203.1 or 2, I think, maybe even to a late 202, but you're really going to have to keep practicing and nail the lap to do that. Obviously I just wanted to get this track guide out, get it done before obviously the start of the week to help people out. I won't be putting too much time in on these at the moment because obviously the FIA is on now. It's the official season, it's the most important one, so most of my attention is on that. I just wanted to get this guide done for people, just to help them out. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm going to leave you with the chase camera view just to help you out if you use that view, so you can see the lines a bit better, and it might help you out, just get some idea of the lines a little bit easier and the braking points when looking at this view. Anyway, make sure you give this video a thumbs up if you've enjoyed it. Also make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already subscribed. I do upload every single day as much as possible, and make sure you click that notification button so you don't miss any future videos. Thanks again for watching, everyone.